Me taking a little break from podcasting and Sneha taking over.
Yes.
I knew I was meant to be an artist.
So in this very mini series of the podcast that's going to happen right after you watch this episode, Sneha is going to be sitting down across some of the biggest names in the Durga Puja art industry.
Here, the way the artists are cherished is so different, Meghdut. I don't think anywhere else that happens. Everyone here is painting beautiful paintings at home. I feel like art has to happen through you, but it was not happening. And then I thought, what can I paint? And Durga Ma came. And I thought, what if I was Durga? So I painted this Maa Durga who is just dancing. I said, I don't know how am I going to earn through this, but this is what I'm going to do for a living. I went and I slept. The next morning, newspaper ashe. I opened the newspaper and second page amar bodo motun photo with my name on it. And I'm like, what just happened?
Make Calcutta relevant again. You already know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast. Today's episode is a little bit special. This is going to be a bridge episode. And through the work that we do over this episode, you realize why we are calling it a bridge episode. But before that, without any further ado, let me introduce today's guest, Sneha Chakraborty, commercial artist and podcaster to be.
To be, yes. Welcome to Make Calcutta Relevant Again.
Even before starting the podcast, she's already picked up on what it will mean to be a podcaster. But যেই বললাম না যে bridge episode, সেইটা কেন এই সূত্রে আমার মনে হয় ইন্ট্রোডাকশনটা করে দেওয়া দরকার. So Sneha and I have been talking about me taking a little break from podcasting and Sneha taking over. That is the idea.
Yes.
And the idea stems from a very interesting space. For me, I have a personal reason for doing this. My personal reason is that I'm going to be a father. And
congratulations.
Thank you. We'll talk more about it when it comes. Maybe we'll have a podcast on parenting.
Yes.
Who knows? Just being super happy because I have a new plaything at home.
Yeah.
But so because of that, I will be taking a little bit of break from podcasting. And of course, the Make Calcutta Relevant Again movement must continue whether or not I am there. So that is very, very important. And in these conversations, while I was having these thoughts, I actually ended up meeting Sneha quite interestingly, very serendipitously.
Yeah.
You wrote a message to me one day on Instagram saying,
Let's
following the
meet.
movement, let's meet,
Yeah.
without really any agenda. And turns out that Sneha has always had this in the back of her mind that she wanted to learn more about her birthplace, about her homeland, and about the place where she's not really lived very much. She's not really lived in Calcutta or in Bengal very much, but she has familial ties to this place and she's decided to move back here. So the thought that instantly came was, Sneha, why don't you do a podcast under the Make Calcutta Relevant Again banner? We have everything in place and it would be good, right? Like the movement should have other champions, other change makers who take it forward. So on this note, I'm going to take a little pause and I'll let people get to know you a little bit because you are going to be a face of the movement for a little bit, and what this podcast is going to be about, we will come and tease that later on in the episode.
Okay.
But first, Sneha, who is Sneha? Who is Sneha Chakraborty and why is she on this seat today?
Right. The reason I'm here in Kolkata is because of the question, who am I? That's a very, very big question right now in my 30s because thanks to my father's job, we have constantly traveled. The pros was that I have changed around 8 schools and, lived in many, many different states. But the con was that I was not rooted. I didn't know where I come from. I didn't know what my culture is. I didn't know what my upbringing and my background is like. Whatever I know of Bengal to be is from my parents. And that is also very limited because they themselves moved out when they were very young. So right now, that's the question that I'm asking myself, that who am I and where do I belong? I am an artist. I paint for a living. I dance, I cook, I do a lot of creative things. I love talking to people. I love knowing about them. I love knowing about their thoughts, their culture, their dimension and their perspective. But I want to go deeper on my roots. How do Bengali think? Why are we known the way we are known? Why do people perceive us a certain way outside Bengal? And with those questions, I've sort of come here and somehow I got to meet you because I just dropped a text and you're such an enabler. You know, there's something that I want to say about you, but I'll say that later. I don't want to say that right now, but what I want to say is that how I have seen you is that you are like an enabler of a lot of dreams and a lot of opportunities and a lot of people who want to do a lot of things but they are not able to, and you just sort of stand there and you say, let's see what you're capable of, and you know just let them pass through you and they sort of become what they have to become. And that's what you did to me. I came to you and you said, you know what, Sneha, I think you should do a podcast. So that's where we are.
No, but
right
that's
now.
also because of the fact that you already had it in you. You have thought about this before in some way or form. You have perhaps, positively manifested this in your own way. I can, at the end of the day, if there's 1% of catalytic activity that I can play in somebody's life that helps them just blossom and make their dreams come true, whether it's something that you end up doing full time or not. You might not end up becoming a full-time podcaster. You probably will not, because you are an artist at the end of the day. But ওই সাইড হাসেলটাকে নিয়েও, একটা প্যাশনটাকে নিয়েও যে অনেক কিছু করা যেতে পারে, এন্ড ইন দ্যাট তার মধ্যে তোর বাংলাটা বেটার হয়ে গেল তার মধ্যে।
একদম, আই থিংক আমরা এবার বাংলাতে পডকাস্ট করতে পারি, কারণ আমার বাংলাটা এখন অনেক মাঞ্জা হয়ে গেছে।
মাঞ্জা হয়ে গেছে, জানি না, ঠিক আছে, আপনারা একটুখানি ভুল ত্রুটি মার্জনা করে দেবেন। আমরা তো এমনিতেই যারা বাঙালি হলেও দেখো, বলে তো লাভ নেই, বাড়িতে কি আমরা শুদ্ধ বাংলায় সত্যি কোনোদিন কথা বলি? আমরা তো বাংলা বলতে বলতে তার মধ্যে দুটো ইংরেজি কথা চলেই আসে, সেটা কোনো অসুবিধা নেই, কিন্তু অ্যাটলিস্ট দ্য ইন্টেনশন ইজ দেয়ার। আমরা চেষ্টা করছি যত বেশি হলে আমাদের বাংলার বুকে দাঁড়িয়ে আর একটুখানি বাংলায় কথা বলার চেষ্টা করা। আর আমরা যদি আমাদের বাঙালি হেরিটেজ, বাঙালি কালচার, সেই জিনিসটাকে যদি মানুষের সামনে ধরে আনতে পারি, দেন ইটস গুড ফর আস, রাইট? এন্ড ইট ডিডন্ট হ্যাপেন ওভারনাইট ফর মি। আমি কিন্তু স্কুলে খুব ভালো ছিলাম বাংলা, জানিস, আমি বাংলা টপার ছিলাম। অ্যান্ড দেন ফর আ লং টাইম বিকজ আই ডিড নট রাইট দ্যাট মাচ ইন বাংলা, যখন বাংলা লিখবি না বা পড়বি না, ইফ ইউ আর নট রিডিং নভেলস ইন বাংলা, তো একটুখানি ইউ গেট বিট রাস্টি। তারপরে পাবলিক স্পিকিং করতে করতে আবার যখন বাংলায় কথা বলতে শুরু করলাম, আই রিয়েলাইজড, ও মাই গড, আই অ্যাকচুয়ালি রিয়েলি লাইক স্পিকিং ইন বাংলা। আমার তো ভীষণ ভালো লাগে, মানুষজনের কাছে আরও আন্তরিকভাবে পৌঁছে যেতে পারি। সেটা করতে করতে বাংলায় পডকাস্ট করা শুরু করলাম। এন্টায়ার এপিসোডস উইড হ্যাভ এন্টায়ারলি স্পোকেন ইন বাংলা, উইচ আমি যদি 5 বছর আগে চিন্তা করতাম হয়তো ওরকমভাবে করতে পারতাম না। But
I do want to add to this. এটা না একটা জার্নি। আই মিন, এখন যে পডকাস্টগুলো আমি করব, আই নো দ্যাট আমি অনেক স্ট্রাগল করব কোথাও না কোথাও টু ফিনিশ এ সেন্টেন্স ইন বেঙ্গলি, সরি। আর হয়তো কোথাও না কোথাও আই কিপ অ্যাডিং মাই ওন ফার্স্ট ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ অর মাই থিঙ্কিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ।
What's your first language?
I think in English.
You think in English.
Because I've changed so many states. Now what happened is I was born in Gujarat. I was born in a desert. I was living with the camels, right? My friends were camels. I had nobody else but them. So, and Gujarati was the language. So somehow I picked on to that.
Do you speak Gujarati?
Yeah.
Okay.
આવડે છે મને. બહુ સરસ રીતે નથી આવડતું, પણ આવડે છે. Anyway, so after that,
So started with Gujarat, then you were...
Yeah, so then I kept moving from Gujarat to Assam, all the states in between. Every 2 to 3 years, we have sort of moved.
Crazy.
And my last was Assam. So, you know, when you go to Assam, you speak Ohmiya. And then you're like, nobody really speaks Hindi or Bengali. So you have to, like, psychologically, as a child, you have to stick to one language because your brain craves for one language to sort of hang on to. So my brain did that and I stuck to English, and then English became my thinking language. Now what happens is, every time I'm going to one state to another, I am picking their language, I'm picking my own language. So a lot of mix-up is happening. And you know, how it's ending up is that I do empathize with the language, I do connect with the language, but at the same time আমার process করতে একটু টাইম লাগে। So if I'm thinking in a language, ওইটাকে আবার বাংলাতে কনভার্ট করে বলা, ওটা একটু স্লো হয়ে যায়। আর যখন আমরা কনভারসেশন করছি তখন একদম ইনস্ট্যান্টলি তো আসে না, মানে আমাকে ফিনিশ করতে হবে। I want to also share what I am going through and my emotions, etc. So obviously that's bound to happen. Coming back to what I was saying, is that the podcast that I'm going to do now, even though all the Bengali artists are coming, I will I want to make sure that I try to speak in Bengali as much as I can, but I want people to understand that it's a journey. আমার মাত্র 2 মাস হয়েছে কলকাতায় আসা, আর 2 মাসে আমার মনে হয় আমি অনেকটাই বাংলা pick
30
করে
বছরে
নিয়েছি।
2 মাস, ঠিক আছে,
Yeah.
30 বছর পর কোনোদিন কলকাতায় থাকেনি, তাই জন্য বললাম ভুল ত্রুটি হলে মার্জনা করে দেবেন। বাট উই আর যখন প্রথমবার তুই এসেছিলি আমার এটা নিয়ে কথা হয়েছিল যে তোর কিন্তু বি প্রিপেয়ার্ড ফর দিস, যে
Yeah.
লোকজন কিন্তু people on the internet can be a little bit brutal, they can be ruthless sometimes, but I also know that if you come at it with intention and with a sense of purpose, আমরা এটা তো ভালো করে, we are here to give visibility to the stories of these people that need to be heard, যারা শুধু বাংলাতেই কথা বলে। It'll be a good time to tell them যে আমরা কি পডকাস্টটা করছি, তুই কি কোন পডকাস্টটা করছিস।
We are talking about Durga Pujo.
Yes.
And before I tell people why are we doing Durga Puja and how are we doing Durga Puja, I want to tell something.
Yes.
I want to tell a little bit of
A story,
my side of the
Yes.
story,
Huh.
how it happened, okay? So, it's been 8 years since I'm doing murals. I'm a commercial mural artist. আমার 6 মাসে book হয়ে যায় my coming projects. So I'm constantly traveling. I'm constantly on the go since 7 years. Never taken a break in my life.
The murals are as in, big pieces of art,
Big
so it can be
pieces,
walls, mostly walls.
20 feet, 30 feet, I'm on a scaffolding, hanging by the thread. Right,
Literally.
always, someone is coming and I'm sort of waving down on them. That's what my life has been for 7 years. And I think I got terribly exhausted because it was emotional exhaustion as well as physical exhaustion. Physical exhaustion because obviously it takes a lot out of you. Emotional because I started feeling a little fake because I'm catering only to the rich, which is bound to happen, obviously, because art is for the people who can appreciate it, and you can only appreciate art when you have food in your stomach.
Sorry, just to pause you on that. If you're a mural artist, you are indulging in public artwork.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's only for the rich? It's for everyone.
So there are 2 kind of murals that I do. When I
Okay.
say commercial art, I do for the brands.
Okay.
I'm working with the brands. And then there's street art. Street art is solely for me because I love knowing stories and I love connecting to people, as
So you
I
do
told
both?
you. I do both. But street art ta na chole jachchilo. So it was not happening as much as commercial art because you tend to get sucked up into commercial work, etc. That's bound to happen, human nature. Then I took a project with GoPro because I wanted to do street art. So I said, you know what, I'll travel the country, I'll meet a lot of people, meet a lot of local people, and I'll create artwork for them. So I went to Fort Kochi, I created a fisherwoman. And then I went to Jaipur. I did a lot of things like that, but then I kept coming back to commercial and got exhausted. Felt a little bit that I'm not doing justice to who I truly am. And 2024 was my last mural. Technically, it was my last mural.
2 বছর হয়ে গেছে
December
almost.
2024.
so
So one more than a
1.5
year. And by Jan, Feb, March, আমি just ঘরে বসে, I was just sitting at home. Let's just cut that.
No cuts on the podcast, Neha. Now you're here with me. There's no cuts on the podcast. It's all good.
Okay.
No worries.
Yeah, so I was just sitting at home and I was just trying to rejuvenate and understand who I am. Again, constantly asking myself this question. And then by May, April, I thought, you know what, I'll just do a canvas painting. Nothing came to me. Art was just not happening. Like, I feel like art has to happen through you, but it was not happening somehow. And then I thought, you know, what can I paint? And Durga Ma came. And I don't know how did that happen. I'll show you the painting. I just started painting. There was no reference, nothing, and I just started painting. And I thought, what if I was Durga? How would I place myself on a canvas? And my first love is dance. I'm a dancer. So I painted this Maa Durga who is just dancing. She is just in her moment. She's just enjoying where she is, and she's just enjoying her rhythm. She's in her beat, in her aura, in her energy. I painted that, and then Durga Puja happened, and I couldn't come here. I was supposed to attend Durga Puja because I was painting Maa Durga, and I was free, also because I wasn't doing anything. But because I didn't finish that painting, I thought, ami amar Maa Durga ke na finish kore ki kore Durga Puja te jete pari. So I stopped. I didn't go. I didn't come. And then I finished the painting, and then somehow it happened that I came to Kolkata. And then I met you, and then I met a lot of other people here, and I realized that actually Maa Durga called me here, and I had to knock the door of Bengal because I had to talk about Maa Durga. And everything that I'm doing right now is somehow connected to Maa Durga. The podcast that we are doing, I think it's not me who is just doing it, there's also a higher power, because I'm here to learn about my culture, right? That's the thought that I had. And when I came here, এর থেকে বড় আর কি হতে পারে if I'm starting with learning about Maa Durga. And I know
It's like ground zero থেকে চলে এসেছিস আবার. This is like your rebirth through Maa Durga.
Right. And she sort of told me that now you painted me, just Sneha, এবার গিয়ে পারো তুই আমার নিয়ে জান. Gain knowledge about me. As an artist, who is Maa Durga, how she is represented in your culture, go learn that. So I think through the podcast, I'm going to learn a lot about Maa Durga. I'm going to learn a lot about Bengali art, everything that connects me to my roots. So I'm very much looking forward to the podcast. Selfishly for me, and also I would want to know about their stories as well, because I love learning stories. So it's surreal. It's amazing.
So in this very special series, mini series of the podcast that's gonna happen right after you watch this episode, Sneha is going to be sitting down across some of the biggest names in the Durga Puja art industry. We already are aware. We know that Durga Puja is the world's largest public art festival, and for the last 5 years with Mass Art, we've been working towards establishing this brand and tag as well. In fact, if you right now go on Google and put in largest public art festival in the world, Durga Puja is going to show up. And who are the people who make this possible? Of course, there's an entire industry around it. It's something that we're incredibly proud of here in Bengal, but it's the artists at the end of the day who are commissioned to create these massive, larger-than-life pieces of artwork which incorporates the idol, the protima, everything, the entire experience around it, and of course the pandal. And that's the Durga Puja art, right? That's the expanse of the Durga Puja art. And Sneha is going to be sitting down across some of these artists, some of the musicians who create the theme music for these Durga Pujas, and some of the Pratima idols, some of the idols, some of the artists who've been working for decades and have now sort of created niche identities for themselves as incredible Durga Puja artists. And the reason why I personally thought this would be a great thing for Sneha to host is, one, she might not have a lot of lived experiences with the Durga Puja as such, but that also gives her a fresh perspective. Two is, I am not an artist, and I think I would never be able to do justice to doing a podcast with I might be the most curious person in the world, but when it comes to critically looking at it from an artistic standpoint, an actual artist will always do a better job at, sort of dissecting why that is artistically significant. And three, Sneha is a commercial artist. And Sneha has worked on various art forms outside of Bengal and has an idea of what the global world of art and design looks like. Most of these artists that she's going to be working with here on the podcast, talking to, learning from, these are mostly people who might not even be trained artists. Some of them might have just picked it up as a whim, working with other artists, come from some small village in Bengal, and has somehow evolved through their work, through their discipline in the space, but they might not even be trained artists. And that, when you look at it from the perspective of the global art world, let's say, that might seem like an anomaly. So that clash of the Western and the very Bengali, and the trained art experienced versus the the acquired art experience is that polarity that I would love to see on the podcast coming out.
Absolutely. You know what? I spoke to some of the artists, in fact, and as you said, some of them are trained and some of them aren't. By train, I would say that some of them are from art college and some of them are probably, they were doing something else and then they realized this is what they want to do.
They
and
got sucked into Maa
They got
Durga's
sucked
aura.
into it. Anomaly is the word. I realize that. It's so different when you are outside Bengal and when you talk about Pujo art. Different kind, Ganesh Pujo, Ganesh Chaturthi, or different kind of, there's so many different festivities that we have all across, right? And yet here, the way the artists are cherished is so different, Meghdut. I don't think anywhere else that happens. You know, the first thing that matters the most to an artist in order to be an artist is financial background. The kind of financial backup that an artist gets here is so different than what they would outside Bengal. One of the artists that I was speaking to, because
The pre-production has already started, right?
Yeah.
So you're already doing your
It's
research
kind of my
work
research
and,
a little bit. And one of the artists that I was speaking to, and he so proudly, he said that, you know what, today if I want 10 people to just stand with me and just create music with me in the pandal, and if I don't feel like it, I'll say, you know what, I'm not feeling like it, and my committee will say, I'll give you more money, go feel like it. Where else does that happen, right?
that's
To
incredible.
get that kind of power, the kind of respect that they have for the committee, for the, what do you call that? Today ki bole je ekhane
Ki Pujo committee, Pada.
pada, not pada, where they get the money from, not the sponsors.
Grant, sponsors.
No, there's something that they mentioned
Pujo
where
club?
they get the club. They get money from the club, right? So the club is so supportive of the artist because all the club wants is to do their best. They don't even go and ask question, tumi ki theme korcho. I would crave, like, as a commercial artist, amake charte design prothome dekhate hoy to my client, and then, you know, we go further. They don't show any design.
Because there's also a lot of like faith and trust in the process.
much.
Because all of these artists that you'll also be speaking to, that you've been already in touch with, they are institutions in themselves. I think because a large part of the current Durga Puja scheme of things is focused on, let's say, the awards, right? Why do these Pujo committees and clubs, why do they spend so much money? Why do they raise so much money to do this? Because there's an end goal for a lot of them, that is Asian paints. You know, in any of the award categories, they're going to win best Pratima, best music, you know, most sustainable Pujo, whatever,
Yeah.
best pandal. And there are hundreds of awards like this, but some really big awards. And when you're working towards that and you are able to get one of these top tier artists to come, you know you're going to win a bunch of awards, right? So then it's almost prudent. It's like if you're in a company and you are the CFO, then your CEO or the owner of the company needs to trust you with its finances because they've hired you to do that work. Because they
Exactly.
know they're better at that
Right.
job than you are.
Yeah.
So it's the same way that if you are a Pujo club president, you would want to trust the artist 100% so that they can really deliver on that vision that they have.
Yeah.
And also, one must add here that because of Masat's involvement in this entire scheme of things, which was to create a unified messaging for the Durga Puja, a unified language, a unified identity, that this is one festival. It's not Amar Pujo, Tomar Pujo, Parar Pujo, Ei Para, O Para. It's our Durga Puja. And then it has various divisions happening inside the various paras. This entire activity has also gotten a lot more professionalized in the last 5 years. Age, I doubt how many Pujo committees would have actually worked with the artists and a year in advance and created 3Ds and stuff. They are, because for Masat, if you want to get selected as one of the top 30 Pujos as part of the Masat's VVIP offering, and then, you know, give access to all of the international guests who are coming into the city at that time to become a showcase Durga Puja, you have to present 1 year in advance. The entire selection criteria and the selection campaign happens, and it's closed already by January of this year. It's already done. For example, now we're
That's
shooting,
crazy.
it's already done, and 7 months, 8 months are still left for Durga Puja to happen. So
Amazing.
this has also gotten a lot more professionalized. People know, these artists know that you have to work way in advance, have all the teams set, have at least the vision set. This is what I kind of want to do.
Yeah.
And then you work on the ground, you work in the last couple of months, 3-4 months maybe you work, depending on the size of the pujo. Some will work for a month and that'll be fine. But it's really an industry. It's really a very unique industry which you can't even say in the same sentence as Ganesh Pujo, because no matter what size of Pujo it is, it's not an artistic celebration like this.
So true.
The focus here is not really on the Durga Pujo,
Yeah.
on the Durga Pratima itself. It's
Right.
Durga Pratima praise. If there was a checklist, you'd have like pandal, ambience, music, blah, blah, blah. And then you have Pratima maybe as 10% of the total weightage that's given.
Yeah.
For any other pujo, you will see it's the pratima that gets the
Yeah,
most.
yeah.
90% of the focus of the people is on the pratima itself. That's something that's quite different in a Durga Puja.
Never seen that anywhere else. This is one of a kind, and I'm so glad that this is happening because Bengali. I mean, again, like whatever I have heard since childhood. See, I am a Bengali myself, so that's why I think I am an artist because that's in my DNA.
But you have a Chakraborti,
I'm Chakraborti. As Bengali as one can be, right? So dance, music, art, any form of art comes very naturally to me. But whatever I'd heard about Bengal all this while growing up, my mom, with a lot of pride, she used to say that, you know what, Sneha, outside, when you ask the children question that, what all have you learned growing up? They probably would say, I've done Olympiad, maths, different kind of, I've done skating. But not a lot of children would say that I have learnt art.
Yeah, and Bengal, everyone's done some kind
Everyone,
of.
tumi badi te jao. When I came here, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm an artist and probably not. No, humble down. Everyone here is either a dancer or a singer or some kind of musician or is painting beautiful paintings at home. I think there's a lot of art here, and that's about this. There's a lot of divinity in this culture, in Bengali culture. A lot of different kind of creative energy, and that's why I think it's not just because someone saw that okay, creativity hoche, so let's just program and do. No, it's not because of that. It's also because of the audience, because the audience is also an artist. They are also looking through the eyes of artists.
So the appreciation for art is a lot higher.
Appreciation is a lot higher than Mumbai or wherever else, because here it's like a conversation or a conversation between the artist and the audience. If the artist is creating a pandal, the conversation is such that the audience is also saying, you know what, I truly appreciate this particular stroke that you have, because they also know, they come from privilege of knowledge. So
Now, one more
wonderful.
thing to be kept in mind also, if you think about the socio-economic impact of art within a culture, Bengal is very different also from every other place, because in most cases, art is reserved for the rich. You're absolutely right on that. There, it is gate kept. It is in places. In most places, you don't even enjoy that much public art as such, because most of it is happening inside galleries.
Yeah.
Galleries are intimidating. How many average people can enter a gallery? If you look at like how many, let's say Bombay has the highest number of galleries, maybe or Delhi or Jaipur would have a high number of galleries, art galleries. But how many people even get access to it? 0.001% of the population would have ever actually even been inside a gallery. It's still quite a bougie thing to do, right? Go for a vernissage, go for an exhibition and whatever. Now, for the average person to get art into their lives or to learn about social changes through art, which is a very important part of any society developing, one must have access to public infrastructure, and public infrastructure that supports arts, supports the arts. In Bengal, even the poorest person coming from a small village somewhere, which in most cases they don't have 2 square meals to feed off in a day for all the members of the family, even them during the time of Durga Puja is exposed to this incredible, accessible, democratic and completely free art festival that you can come to.
So true.
And learn about a bunch of things, like I'm sure you've done your research and you know about what kind of stuff that people talk about during Durga Puja through their art. But everything from acid attack survivors to the Indian Constitution and mixed media to multimedia to
What not? There's azan playing in Durga Puja. Where else does that happen? I was very surprised in a very beautiful way when I heard that azan is being played in Durga Puja. Nowhere else.
Genocide, I think there was that
Yes.
work that had happened talking about Palestine and genocide and beautifully Coca-Cola fonte genocide lekha chilo when you entered that particular panel. I think and
The
also
power to talk to brand that, hey, you know what, I'm not supporting what you did, and actually to mention them in that manner without worrying that they might not sponsor the next time. The clubs also not. That's where it's not just the artist, it's the club, the community, the audience. Everyone is so supportive of what is being created.
অ্যান্ড কন্ট্রারিয়ান ভিউ ব্যাপারটা তো আমরা বাংলায় খুব বেশিভাবেই দেখি না, যে আমরা ছোটোবেলা থেকে যখন বড় হয়েছি উই আর ভেরি ওয়েল অ্যাওয়্যার দ্যাট দের আর at least two sides to everything, if not more. This monolingual, মানে একটাই পসিবিলিটি, অন্য আর কোনো ওপিনিয়ন থাকবে না, এই জিনিসটা তো বাংলা আমরা কোনোদিন বিশ্বাসই করিনি। তাই জন্যই আমরা আজকে এরকম আর্ট সাপোর্ট করতে পারি না, যেখানটায় আমরা একটাই জিনিসকে মাল্টিপল লেন্স দিয়ে দেখতে পারি, যে কেউই ঠিক নয়। We've always seen that, history has been written by the
Winners,
victor.
yeah.
So obviously আমরা ছোটবেলা থেকে যেগুলো পড়ে আসছি সেগুলো কতটা সত্যি আমরা তো কোনোদিন জানবো না। আমরা একজনের পার্সপেক্টিভটা পড়ে আসছি, অ্যাবসলিউট ট্রুথ বলেও কিছু হয় না। তো এই কলকাতার বুকে, বাংলার বুকে বসে যেখানে 50,000-এর ওপরে দুর্গাপুজো হচ্ছে প্রত্যেক বছর, 50,000টা দুর্গাপুজো রে, এইখানে তুই তাহলে তার মানে পোটেন্সিয়ালি 50,000টা ডিফারেন্ট ওপিনিয়ন হতে পারে একটাই জিনিস নিয়ে। মা দুর্গার তো 50,000টা ওপিনিয়ন, মা দুর্গাকে সেন্টার করে 50,000টা ডিফারেন্ট টপিক নিয়ে কথা বলার প্রচেষ্টা দুর্গাপুজোতে প্রত্যেক বছর হচ্ছে, ইন দ্য মোস্ট ট্রানজিয়েন্ট ওয়ে পসিবল অলসো, বিকজ 10 দিন পরে আবার সেই প্যান্ডেলটাই ফেলে দেওয়া হচ্ছে, তারপর ইটস গেটিং রিপ্লেসড বাই সামথিং এলস নেক্সট ইয়ার, গেটিং রেডি ফর দ্য রিনিউয়াল। সো তোর যেরকম রিনিউয়ালের রাস্তায় তুই আছিস, সেরকম দুর্গাপুজোরও প্রত্যেক বছর রিনিউয়াল হচ্ছে। মা দুর্গা ইজ সাচ এ ফ্রেশ গডেস, তুই ভাব যে শি ইজ কমপ্লিটলি ওকে উইথ ইট। হ্যাঁ, আমাকে একদম আমার ধ্বংস করে আবার নতুন করে তৈরি করবে, বিকজ দ্যাটস দ্য ওয়ে অফ লাইফ। দ্য ওয়ে অফ লাইফ।
I think that's why I'm connecting to Maa Durga so much at the moment, or since last year. So I was never a religious person. মানে আমাদের ফ্যামিলিতে না মা বাবা খুবই, they have left both of us to form our own opinions since childhood. আমার একটা ছোট ভাই আছে।
ভাই, oh right, so I met your brother,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
right, of course.
So since childhood, my parents or my father, I don't know how does that happen. I mean, where did he get the thought to raise us this way? We were probably 5-6 years old, and he would ask us questions. Tomar eta theek lagche ki? Do you think that you should do that? And I pretending to be this person that I have opinion, I would be like, no, I don't think. But that helped me so much because I have the ability to form my own judgment about what I want to do. And because of that, now when I am thinking about how I want to lead my life, I want to connect with Maa Durga at the moment, because that's my calling. I feel like I have to learn a lot about Durga, and I have to learn a lot about the Bengali aspect. See, there are many Durgas. There are many faces of Durgas, right? Everywhere. Somewhere she's Parvati. Somewhere she's
Parvati,
something
Annapurna,
else.
Kali,
So
সবই
many.
তো দুর্গা।
সবগুলোই দুর্গা, বাট দ্য বেঙ্গলি দুর্গা, মানে আমরা যেভাবে সেলিব্রেট করি, উই ইট মাংস অ্যান্ড মাছ অ্যান্ড হোয়াট নট when we are celebrating মা দুর্গা. Somewhere else on the opposite side of this state, they are not. They are rather fasting because that's how they celebrate.
And
I want
all
to
of
know.
it is valid, right? At the end of the day, your devotion can only come from within, and whatever makes you happy.
Whatever
এইটা
makes
নিয়ে
you
যদি
happy.
লোকে ঝামেলা করে যে না, আর কেউ তোকে বলে দেবে তুই কিরম ভাবে ডিভোশন
না,
করবি, তোকে কেউ বলে দেবে যে আমি এরকম ভাবে প্রেয়ার যদি না করো, এরকম ভাবে হাতটা না করে, তাহলে তো ডিভোশনের কোনো মানেই থাকলো না।
Exactly, it's so much to your own, na, তোমার নিজের thought. So last year when I was not religious, and now I'm getting into what religion is, I'm kind of learning a lot because of, learning about my culture as well. So this podcast, again coming back to what we were talking about, when I spoke to all these artists, I understood and realized one thing: everyone is thinking the same way. They have one thought process which is same, which is they think they are a vessel and Maa Durga is performing through them. That is just so beautiful, because I was feeling the same way when I came here.
You were like, I've come to the right place.
Yeah, I've come to
তাহলে
the right place to learn. I've
Right.
come to the right place to surrender. So,
I like the word surrender here almost. It's almost like এটা তো হওয়ারই ছিল।
হওয়ারই
আজকে
ছিল,
বা কালকে তোর একটা আর্টিস্টিক রাট এসছে, or you're feeling like you're going through a depleted sense of interest in building art, কারণ তোর মধ্যে থেকে maybe the divinity was not flowing through you at that point, and now that it is, maybe the next whatever pieces of art that you're going to create will be stronger, and this will also be kind of art. Even doing the podcast is going to be some form of artistic enablement, and give you hopefully give you enough insight into the world, give you enough juices for it to flow through you, so you can create better art.
again, so many stories, right? What is art? what are we? We are made up of stories. Meghdut is made up of millions of stories right now. And that's why the way you are is because of the stories. I was lacking rooted stories. I was flowing. I was everywhere, but I felt like I was lacking my stories. And that's why the conversation that I'm going to have with all the artists, or whatever conversation I've had with all those artists, is kind of bringing me back to new form of stories which I can create on my canvas or my mural later on, I'm sure. And I was going through a rut, I'm not anymore. Like lately, since a month probably, after, because the whole idea of also creating a podcast, or I'm also working on a documentary with Meghdut, by the way. So we are going to a lot of places and going to talk to a lot of artists. The idea of that itself is sort of like washing away the rut that I had, because collecting stories is, I think, my calling. It's probably what I want to do. I want to collect stories and I want to put that on canvas and mural. And through podcast and through documentary, I think I'll be able to do that. So
the stories have also been the greatest form of communication forever. We can't really go beyond stories much. Even if you look at all the Vedas, Upanishads, Mahabharata, Ramayana, all of these are সবই তো গল্প. All of the stories that have been retold, somebody was sitting there and taking notes while some other person was going on and on about some stories, visions that they've seen, hallucinations, we don't know, whatever it was, whatever they saw, felt. And through time, those were written, সেটাই বেদ বাক্য হয়ে গেল. বেদ বাক্য বলছিল মানে কি, একজন বেদ বসে কথা বলছিল, সেইটাকে নিয়ে লেখা হয়ে গেল, বাল্মীকি বসে কথা বলছিল, সেটা লেখা হয়ে গেল, গল্প তৈরি হয়ে গেল. What has changed? The medium of telling stories has changed, has evolved. আগে যেটা বইয়ের মধ্যে লেখা হতো, বইয়ের পাতায়, আগে তারও আগে হতো প্যাপিরাসে লেখা হতো, কাগজে বইয়ের পাতায় লিখতে লিখতে, তারপরে when Gothenburg came, the press happened, then mass distribution of books happened, then the information was not only reserved for the rich, it was not just kept in the libraries of the monarchs, then it got distributed into people, so people got enlightened, মানুষজনের কাছে আরো ওই গল্পগুলো চলে আসতে শুরু করলো, সেখান থেকে রেডিও, সেখান থেকে টিভি, তারপর ইন্টারনেট, আর ইন্টারনেটের মাধ্যমে or podcasts are just a new way of doing the same things that we've done before. আগে যদি তুই দেখিস যে 2-3-4 বছর আগে, 5 বছর আগেও কিন্তু লোকে অডিও পডকাস্ট প্রচণ্ড করতো, বাট ভিজুয়াল মানুষজনের চেঞ্জিং নেচার অফ ইন্টারেস্ট অ্যান্ড অ্যাটেনশন লেভেলস, আই থিঙ্ক পিপল কান্ট লিসেন টু থিংস ফর দ্যাট লং এনিমোর. তারা চেষ্টা করে যে না সামনাসামনি দেখবো, তার মধ্যেও মাল্টিপল ফরম্যাটস, লং ফরম্যাট, শর্ট ফরম্যাট, ভার্টিক্যাল ফরম্যাট, হরিজন্টাল ফরম্যাট. এক্ষুনি আমরা যে কাজটা করছি এইটাকেও দুটো মিডিয়ামে কিন্তু চলছে কন্টিনিউয়াসলি. তো সেটার গিয়ে একটা হরিজন্টাল লং ফরম্যাট হবে, একটা কিছু রিলস বেরোবে, সেগুলো ছোটো ছোটো পার্ট দেখবে, অ্যান্ড অল অফ ইট caters to different kinds of people because no two people learn the same way. But does that mean the storytelling itself changes? No, not at all. It's still storytelling in its own format. That তুই যদি গল্প বলতে পারিস পডকাস্টে, তুই যদি গল্প বলতে পারিস আঁকার মাধ্যমে, তুই যদি গল্প বলতে পারিস ডকুমেন্টারির মাধ্যমে, একটুখানি মিডিয়ামটা আলাদা, ব্যাপারটা তো একই.
একদম.
Let's get a bit into who Sneha is as a person also.
Okay.
Right? This would be a good way for the audiences, because the rest of the podcast you're going to be on this seat.
Yeah.
You're going to be talking to them and you will be playing host. So
Right.
I don't know how much of your stories are going to come out. So that hopefully some.
I think I'm going to be so interested in their stories.
মাঝে মাঝে একটু contextualize করার চেষ্টা করবি through your life, whatever, but then you will be the vessel through which their stories will flow. So আজকে for now let's take that a little
Why
bit
not?
of an opportunity to hear your story as well. Let's start from the beginning. The beginning of the Sneha origin story. হ্যাঁ, জল টল খেয়ে নি, একদম প্রস্তুতি নিয়ে. সো স্নেহা, তুই বড় হয়েছিস, তুই বলি তোর জন্ম কি গুজরাটে?
আমার জন্ম হয়েছিল রানীগঞ্জে.
রানীগঞ্জ.
But I was, I think, 3 to 4 months old when my father was posted in Gujarat. So
বাবা এত মুভ করতেন কেন?
he was in government job initially. He's a mining engineer.
Oh, he's a mining engineer.
Yes. And then
উনি কি ইয়েতে ইস্টার্ন কোলফিল্ডে ছিলেন?
GMDC. প্রথমে ONGC,
ONGC.
ONGC, তারপরে GMDC, তারপরে বাবা also is a vagabond. I think I am just his mirror. He said, না হচ্ছে না, I just want to keep traveling. So he went on to private jobs, etc., etc. Coming back to your question, you said?
যে ইউ স্টার্টেড মানে ওই প্রথমে রানীগঞ্জ, ওখান থেকে তোর গুজরাটে
হ্যাঁ।
চলে যাওয়া, তারপরে ওখান থেকে কি কোথায় কোথায় গেছিলি?
হ্যাঁ, তো প্রথমে না গুজরাটেও ইটস আ ভেরি ইন্টারেস্টিং স্টোরি। বাই দ্য ওয়ে, আমি ডু নো 2000-এ একটা আর্থকুয়েক হয়েছিল গুজরাটে, সো আই ওয়াজ অলসো লাইক উই ওয়ার দেয়ার ইন ভুজ। দেন উই মুভ টু আ ভেরি কাছের একটা জায়গা হয় যেখানে there's nothing but desert. So there's only camel and dabeli and desert. That's it. That's all I remember my childhood to be. Then from Gujarat, we moved to Chandigarh for a bit. Then we moved to Jharkhand for a bit. We were in Chhattisgarh. We were a lot of few places.
আমারও জন্ম ছত্তিশগড়ে, জানিস?
Oh, তাই?
বিলাসপুর।
Oh, how come?
আর ওই তো দাদু ছিল ইস্টার্ন কোলফিল্ডসের জিএম, তো দ্যাট ওয়াজ a lot of my growing up years, formative years were Asansol, Raniganj, Durgapur, in that belt. But তারপরে ইভেন্চুয়ালি মানে ছত্তিশগড়ে জন্ম, ওখান থেকে লট অফ ইস্টার্ন কোলফিল্ডসে একটুখানি বড় হওয়া, তারপর থেকে কলকাতা।
When did you move to Kolkata?
আমার নট ইন মাই মেমোরি, আমার মনে নেই হতো, বাট
okay, yeah.
মাই আর্লিয়েস্ট মেমোরিজ আর স্টিল ফ্রম কলকাতা। 1.5 বছর বয়স হবে, খুবই ছোট তখন।
Okay, yeah, so from Jao Hoy, Mane, we just kept moving. I don't even remember the states that we have lived in. So, you know what happens when you are constantly moving? You get hyper flexible to adaptation. You know that wherever you are put, you have to adapt. And I think that's, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because you have no self, you're not yourself. You're constantly reflecting others. So that's what kept happening with me. Wherever I was going, I was in a mindset that I have to reflect that culture, those people. The good thing that happened is that I learned so much about humanity. All in all, we are all the same people. No matter where you are, no matter you're Shah Rukh Khan, or you are the worst person in the world, or you're the best person in the world, we are the same people. We want few similar things. We need acknowledgement. We need appreciation. We need love. We need purpose. We need food on the table. And we need something that, entertains us. That I understood very quick in my life. So what happens is the facade that generally people put, the pretense, that went on very early. Like, I just lost my pretense. I realized in a room full of people, if everyone is pretending, I am the one who has to sort of crack a joke and make everything, like, we're all humans, just settle down. We do the same things. Again, thanks to my father for that. So last school was Assam, 11-12, and there I studied, and then I went outside to study I did my international business management. I took corporate law, but I couldn't do it. I realized that was not for me. Then I came back.
Where did you go to study?
Singapore, Curtin University.
Right.
It was a very good university. I didn't do justice to it.
You went to study law?
I did international
business, but what was this thing you said about
international business management and corporate law.
Oh, okay. Then
so
the corporate law
part. I didn't take that. Holoina.
Okay.
That just didn't happen. I did management and then came back and then interior designing holo, because I wanted to be close to art. So
you studied interior design?
Yeah, then I did interior designing. So early on I realized that I have to be an artist. Like, I see the world through an artist perspective. And the whole grey is very colorful for me. I see a lot of colors in grey. And that's the best place to be. When you don't have opinion. When you're trying to form opinion but judgment hochhei na, because the other person has a very empathetic story to tell, because their side also matters. I had to learn art, so I did interior designing, then holona. So first I became a cabin crew because I wanted to travel the world. holona.
Kon airlines?
Vistara Airlines.
Vistara.
Then
at least it was a nice airline.
It was nice airline. It was a good airline. We were the first few employees, so we used to travel a lot. We were given a lot of, and you see that life and you realize that whether you're capable of that or do you want to do something else. It's always a choice, right? We are like, I'm like a game khelchi, level 1, level 2, level 3. That didn't work out for me, so I went away. Then I did event manager. I became an event manager in Bangalore. Ota holona. Quit that. Then interior designer tarpore korlam holona. By that time I was a proper failure. But because by that time only I figured I wanted to create art, so I started painting. And when I started painting, I think social media was a great tool for me. That became my weapon. and I want to say every artist right now all across the world that use social media as your tool, because that has the power to change your life.
So what were you doing? And break it down for the audience. You were starting to paint. Were you good at it?
Okay, this is also something which is sort of an unbelievable story, okay? So I was probably 25 years old. Kokhono jibone paint korini. Even though I'm a Bengali, parents, like I
Because you didn't grow up in Calcutta
I was,
and you didn't have the
so
same...
I didn't learn. I'm kokhono learn shikhini. So when there's nothing else, no, when you're in a failure, when you're heavily depressed, you sort of want to get out of that space in whatever way possible. Or the other
You were
way
depressed?
is... I think I was. Probably because that phase is very dark for me. You know, when you are very alone and nobody really understands what you're going through.
Did your parents understand?
Yeah, they were they were always support, but they were also clueless, right?
They were like, they didn't have any
They
reference
didn't have any
point.
reference. We don't have any artist at home. When I say I wanted to dance, they were like, but what? Like, what do you want to do? You want to learn? Go learn. What else can we provide you with?
Yeah.
So I just went down at the Choto Kirana store theke. I got few colors and etc. Started painting and I was in awe. Je ki kore hocche amar, you know, how am I even creating those, whatever I was creating? And I started posting on Instagram. Now, use whatever tool you have around you, use that, because you never know what works for you. When I posted 3-4 pictures, an NGO called Chal Rang De, they saw my work. And I was at that time in Bombay. So they saw my painting and they were like, you know what, Sneha, you're decent. Do you want to come paint the streets with us? We are doing a project where we are painting the street. And I said, I am a tiny human on 5 feet 3 inches. Wall ki kore paint korbo? Ami to eto choto choto canvas o paint, you know, somehow I'm managing to do it.
You're 5'3".
Yeah.
Why you seem taller for some reason.
I'm 5 feet 4. With heels, I'm 5 feet 7. Let's just...
That's big heels, I don't know.
No, I think it's also a facial
Your
structure.
facial structure, হ্যাঁ দেখে বোঝা যায় না যে
Probably.
তুই আর সংস্থিতা মোটামুটি একই হাইট মনে হচ্ছে হ্যাঁ
Yeah, probably.
probably হ্যাঁ anyway
Yeah. So, what was I saying? Tarpore I started... Anyway, so they saw my work. And tarpore they were like, "Thik ache, Sneha, you come paint with us. We'll provide you with the wall." I was very excited to see the wall. Okay, how does that happen? How does a mural happen? And when I went there, it's a place called Khar in Bombay. It's a slum area. And they gave me a bunch of colors. And this is a 15 feet by 20 feet wall. And they said, you know what, paint whatever you want. And I remember that feeling, the first stroke I did, and I felt myself elevated from the ground. I was no more touching the ground. I felt like I was dancing, because dancing is my first form of art. And I just kept painting, and I was in my movement, in my motion. I was in a different world.
flow state চলে গেছে
Flow state for the first time in my life. For the first time in my life, I realized what is flow state. And I started painting. It was the longest mural of my life, obviously, because it was my first time. It was around 14 days, and I painted that. I came back home, I called my brother, and I said, I don't know how can I earn from this. Karna, there is no example for me to sort of connect with. Karna India te tokhon kyo commercial artist chilo na, commercial muralist chilo na. Hoyto chilo, I don't know, but I was not aware of that. I said, I don't know how am I going to earn through this, but this is what I'm going to do for a living. I went and I slept. The next morning, newspaper ashe. I opened the newspaper and second page amar bodo motun photo with my name on it, and I'm like, what just happened? And they appreciated my work. Again, that was my that was the first time when God worked through me. I believe that. I don't know, it might sound weird, but I believe that certain things God does with you. When they see that you need a lot of help, and when they see you have the zeal to do something but you're not able to, then something external comes to you and protects you and helps you. And that's what happened. And I realized this is my sign. If it's on the newspaper, it's valid. So
তো ভ্যালিডেশন ম্যাক্স হয়ে গেছে
validation max হয়ে
তখনও
গেছে।
দুর্গামা was working through you just didn't know it yet.
I am sure, I am sure. And
দুর্গামার তো 10টা হাত না কোনো না কোনো হাতটা কখনো না কখনো তোর মাথার উপরে ছিল
হবে, I am sure, yeah. And I really wanted to do something with art, but I just didn't know key. I was very lost. And then, yeah, then that's how the story goes. I started with that one work. আমি সব জায়গায় যেতাম বম্বেতে। I'm very good at knocking doors. I used to knock doors and I would ask, তুমি কি আমাকে কাজ দেবে? Whatever amount of money, because কেউ আমাকে তখন শিখিয়ে দিয়েছিল, never do anything for free. I don't know who told me that. One artist, I said, a minimal amount of money, whatever you can give, I'll paint for you. And then brands started floating. Obviously, it was an eventual thing. And social media and a lot of hard work sort of does that to you, I guess.
So brands, when they started reaching out to you, what did they want out of you? They wanted you to paint their headquarters or like
Yeah.
their
So the first brand that I worked with was Oyo.
Okay.
It was in Pune, and they had just come up with their own new design, something. There's
Townhouse?
Townhouse, I guess.
And
I guess so. I don't remember now, but they wanted me to paint the entire building.
Okay.
I don't know how would I paint because I'm kokhono entire building, but I bole dao, then figure out.
Yeah.
Another motto that I follow. First say
Fake it
yes,
till
then
you make
figure out.
it.
Yeah, I was like,
একদম
yeah,
100%.
kore debo.
করে দেবো নিশ্চয়ই
Then also one thing that was a big struggle for me was কেন না আমার কোনো example ছিল না, how much do I charge? How do I know what is right? And there's no muralist who I can call. তখন social media অত ছিল না. This is 8-9 years ago, I'm saying. তো আমি আর ভাই নিজে বসে বসে না ক্যালকুলেট করলাম যে এতদিনের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স, এতবার আমাকে কাজ করতে হবে, এতটা থকে যাব, this that let's charge. I went and I asked and he said yes. I was like, universe is amazing, right? If you ask for
Just
something,
have
it
to ask.
happens.
এটা কিন্তু আমাদের এখানে আমি দেখেছি যে লোকজন জিজ্ঞেস করে না বলে হয় না অনেক
হয়
সময়
না।
আমরা we live under the impression that people will say no and hence we don't even
Yeah.
take that opportunity to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
But the universe has a way of gifting.
Absolutely. You need to know your capacity. It actor realistically, you need to know where do you stand.
And what's the worst thing that's going to happen? They'll just say, no, কি আছে
exactly.
rejection তো ওইটুকুনি rejection নিলে কি
Yeah.
and also I guess at that point you had quote unquote lost everything. তো you were already down
Right
in the
there,
dumps.
yeah.
So we're like ঠিক আছে এরপরে যা হবে সবই তো বেটারই হবে
Yeah.
কি হবে দুটো জায়গায় নো বলবে থার্ড জায়গায় ইয়েস বলবে
Yeah, I read a quote where it says you're just 100 no's away from a yes. How excited would you be if you know that the next no is your 99 and after that is your 98?
98.
You want to go to that 100, right? Because after that, you know,
There
the
is a
door
yes.
is open for you.
Yeah.
So I think I always had a very, I think I'm hyper positive. These are few traits that I had since childhood. I'm very hyper positive. I see the world and I have pink glasses. Everyone is awesome to me. Everyone has a story to tell. That also works. You're a salesman. Every human being is constantly selling something. You're selling yourself in your mind as well. When you're talking about yourself, you're also selling either the right thing or the wrong thing. I think I say that I sell myself in my mind very positively. That I'll do it. I'll make the best out of it. And I have a lot of hard work in me as well. I mean, korte chai, you know, I want to make the best out of the opportunity that I have. So anyway, like that happened, and then Oyo happened, then different brands, Pepsi, a lot of different kind of brands started coming. I started doing workshops before COVID. One of the first workshops that we were one of the first, Let's Be Canvas, was one of the first to do that kind of
let's
workshop.
be canvas
Yeah.
this and you started this with your brother
Yeah. And because he was studying in Pune. He was a symbiosis student.
okay
So
so communication টা
হয়ে যেত,
OSIMC আচ্ছা
So then we started doing a lot of workshops, 200 workshops করে নিলাম. Again, paper e naam আসছে, everyone knows us, people are just coming back. We had repeated clients, etc. And then COVID happened, and then everything stopped. And that's when I did my first mural again. Because I was not getting murals by then. So then I did my first mural. I think COVID এর সব থেকে বেশি travel করেছি আমি. And then I realized that how much the world needs art and how much can we paint on the streets. That's where my street art started. So when you said, so it didn't start initially, it started very late. So it's been a nice journey. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the big marquee moments, big aha moments in in your journey as an artist when you truly realize একটা তো ওই flow state যেটা বলি I like stories like that. It's quite inspiring to hear about that because again at the end of the day how much of the world do we truly understand, how many of these seemingly tangible forces that we see around us, how much of them are truly our doing and how much of it is the doing of a higher power. The older I get, I've become a huge believer in energies, power, people of আমাদের মধ্যে দিয়ে লোকজন করাচ্ছে because we are deserving. That also happens. So tell me about a few of those moments which truly reinstated in your belief in the universe and in yourself.
Yeah, sure. I think every mural in that manner does, because I see a new aspect of me when I create something. But to actually point out few moments, I would say a few years had passed by now. By now, I had done the TCS project. It was one of the biggest projects that I did. And Rajashri, who was the CMO at that time, she messaged me on LinkedIn. And I had no idea that she's the CMO of TCS. And I told her that this is how, because I always first say, this is how much I charge. If you are comfortable with it, we'll have a conversation. If not, I don't even want to. I didn't even go through her introduction, like her LinkedIn page, and I told her that, look how I don't want to take that back, I want to apologize to her, but anyway. So anyway, that happened. TCS was my very good project. After that, I did an NFT for Gauravi Kumari. Gauravi Kumari
Jaipur
is the princess
Rani,
of
a princess.
Jaipur.
Pachor Bon.
Correct. Yeah. And that was, I think, my moment when I realized that my art truly is being seen by the world. And when I was creating for her, and I did an NFT, I was one of the first to be launched as an NFT artist in India on WazirX platform. And when I was creating that for her, I realized that it's such a fascinating project. And when I went there, I was awarded as Women of the Decade by WICCI. And she was right there, and she saw my work, and she appreciated. It felt surreal to me. It felt like you have some art has a lot of power, and it can reach to the people that you want to be reached, and it can say what it wants to say if you truly create from your heart. That was one. Then I was going to Kochi, and I didn't intend to paint, but I spoke to a fisherwoman there, early morning, 5 a.m. Oh my God. So she was just sitting there, and she was singing something. There's a Majhir Gan hoy ekta. So she was singing something, and she was just doing her thing, getting fishes out of the net, yeah. And I just looked at her, and she had cataracts. Okay, so her eyes were grey. Pupils were also grey, and she had complete I don't know how she was doing what she was doing, but she was so much in it, like she was in the flow state of what she was doing, that I fell in love with her right there. And she looked like a mad woman. When you are in your utmost peak of what you do, doesn't matter if it's a fisherwoman or if it's Einstein or if it's whatever. As I said, we're all the same. When she was at her peak and she was creating what she was creating, I wanted to paint her. So I took her picture, and I went to this Fort Kochi Rekta Jaiga Ache, and I started painting. Collaborated with one of the person there, and he gave me the wall. And I painted there, and I realized that like every little emotions that I want to cater, I want to create, was just again happening. And I love that. So I created those eyes as fish, because she's a fisherwoman. And she had those like something coming out from her that thing, what do you call that? Jhaak, okay. So she has water coming out with buffaloes and fishes, and she's just like chilling, she's just vibing with it. That's what I created. That was a turning point of what I wanted to tell. And I think that was one of my last mural, because after that I stopped, because I realized
so you needed more inspiration. That was like you reached a peak of inspiration with this woman. You were like, you can't go lower than that, right? You have to be inspired yourself in order to create the art that you so want to create.
Right.
Do you think in you deciding to come back to Bengal, because you did reach out to me saying that, hey, I'm moving to Bengal, I'm going to be living in Shantiniketan, and I want to do a what was the first message? I want to do.
I wanted to do a documentary.
You wanted to do a documentary.
Yeah.
That's why he had originally reached out to me
Yes.
saying that I want to do a documentary on the tribes of Bengal or something, and want to create art pieces around it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, crazy girl, sure.
And I went through your profile and you said hype man. And that's what is written. And it was all about Kolkata. So I thought if I have to reach out to someone, it has to be this person because he's the hype man of Kolkata. He's the hype man of Bengal. He's talking about the culture, exactly what I want to do through my art. So who else but you? And I reached out to you and it was so nice. You just said, you know what, just come, let's meet. And we met and the rest is this.
Is this?
Yeah.
It's going to be a long, a grand body of work, hopefully, that comes out of it. But also, I think, as I was saying earlier, that I truly do believe in energies as well. Some people just reach out to you with good intention, with good energy. Hey, you want to meet, want to collaborate. I think there's a way of reaching out as well. And this might be interesting to some people who are watching this. I get a lot of requests to meet, and most of the times people call me for a few things. One is my team calls me for OTPs.
Okay.
This is like the biggest purpose that I solve in the lives of people around me. That paisa lagbe OTP.
Yeah.
Second is people calling for sponsorships, whatever, to get them. They're doing some event and they want me to sponsor, etc. And less I find important. I find this to be a banal way of using my time. I'll always connect them to my team, and if this is of any value, they'll take care of it. Some people want to reach out for collaborations, or mentorship. This has become a big part of why people reach out to me, because they believe I can mentor them or help them in their life. And of late, I've almost stopped saying yes to this.
Okay.
And I've realized that it's very important to say no when you can't do justice to something. My schedule has become so tightly packed with things that I need to do. Say, for example, right now, before I go on paternity leave, I'm taking the paternity leave idea very, very seriously, because I have to do this.
Nice.
I want
I'm
to.
so happy for you.
This needs to be done. This is when again will I be able to create art like this?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am going to create a child.
Your
It's
biggest form of
the
art.
biggest form of art. I'm going to create a miracle in my life. And when else can I be so present for my partner with whom I have planned to have this child for the longest time? And when else will I be able to give so much love and intentional presence to a being that cannot take care of itself? So this needs me more than somebody calling me for a collaboration or any other project. Everything else is secondary after this point, right? So for at least a little bit of time, I do want to channel my all my energy into a baby instead of Calcutta for a bit. But the rest of the team, thankfully, we've been doing this for so long. The movement does not stop. The teams are. You've met most of the team. They're incredible. Everyone is so passionate about the city, and they are more than capable of running the movement and the podcast and everything else that happens for a bit. But as I was saying, there's a way of asking about things as well. In a lot of cases, people are very entitled when they ask about things, right? They're like, the way that they would present it to you as if like I would lose out on an opportunity if I don't meet with them, kind of. And it happens a lot, and it happens in a way that, oh yeah, I went to school with you 15 years ago. Oh, you don't even remember me. I'm like, man, I meet 40 new people every day. It's not literally possible for me.
And why are you supposed to remember
And why am I
them?
supposed? We never even had a connection then. Today you see me on the internet, or you've heard about me from somewhere, or you've seen me on a platform, and suddenly you want to be best friends with me, or you think that I can support your business. No, man, it's not going to happen. I would much rather, if some young person's reaching out who truly, genuinely wants, me to help in some way, even if I can't do it and my team can somehow help and support them, I'm happy to help them. Somebody wants to make a move back to Calcutta and Bengal and, use Calcutta as their muse and, paint through them, work through them, build through them. I'm very happy to support them with my networks and resources. But I have become a lot better at saying no kindly. And I know that if I'm saying no to somebody, it doesn't mean I'm saying no to them for life. Right. I'm saying no right now in this moment. My time, calendar, patience, energy levels does not support this particular conversation. Yeah. But that's not to say that I will not be willing to come back to it later. And the people who truly reach out with a good intention of being part of my life in some way or getting that. I've seen in most cases, it's happened that a few years later, I will bump into them, or they will again reach out to me like, hey, I know we didn't end up doing that earlier, but hey, this is something else that had to happen. So if it's meant to happen, it will happen.
Yeah.
And I'll tell the example of somebody right now I just realized in this context would make so much sense. So we've done there's only one person on this podcast that we've done 2 episodes with.
Okay.
His name's Mudar Patheria. And I say if there's one person crazier about Calcutta than I am, and who's done also more tangibly than me, is probably Mudar. I mean, many people have done more than me. I'm just starting on that journey, but Mudar is somebody who I'm truly fortunate that I met him and so fond of his work, and I try to help him in everything he does. You've seen the illumination project he does. Calcutta in the last year has illuminated more than 100 buildings, old buildings, and these buildings have been lit up. That's this person is responsible for the fundraising and that entire project curation. You've seen these CSC feeder boxes with paintings of people on them.
Right.
He's the one who started that project. That's
so does
Mudar.
he have, like, how does he do it? Does he have
He
bunch
does
of-
fundraise. No, he fundraises. He has a foundation and he fundraises, and he runs citizens action projects, and he also runs an agency by himself. And he's a big supporter of the MCRA movement and all of that. But in the beginning of all of this, 5-6 years back, he had randomly sent me a WhatsApp message. And I didn't know who he was. And I think I was just totally bogged down by whatever was happening that day. And I don't think I gave him much patta at all. Like, he was like, yeah, some guy wanted to do some street theatre project, and he had this idea, and he said, I'm Mudar, I want to do this. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to give you the number of my office. Let's be in touch. I don't know right now if I can help with you on whatever. And then he didn't lose hope, I think, but he was also like, who's this weirdo? Like, he didn't really give me any attention. And he's a much older guy. He's done incredible things for the city, all of that. I just didn't in that moment understand.
Yeah.
Couple of years later, I remember one of the heads of the Bennett Coleman group, the Times of India group. He's originally from Calcutta. He comes to Calcutta and he's talking to me. He's reached out. We're at a jazz bar, listening to some great music, and he's like, I have this guy who's come up with this incredible book about characters of Calcutta, and I think it's really funny. I think you should take a look. And he brings out, he had a copy of the book. He brings out a copy, and I was like, I've seen this name somewhere before, Mudar Patheria.
Oh my
And then I'm
God.
like, wait a second, I think this guy had reached out to me. And I see the messages and I'm like, oh my God, he had sent me 2 messages after that also, and I completely ghosted him. I did not really see the message. Just I was going through something at that time, and he said, he's a very dear friend, let me call him. He calls me, he's like, I'm sitting with Meghdut. He's like, yeah, I reached out to him. He seemed like a sweet guy, but at that time we didn't have a chance. I would love to meet him again. This guy didn't at all feel that, just because he had felt snubbed or ghosted or whatever at that point, that I didn't want to work with him on that. And I heard his story after. I was like, would you be open to meeting? Come down, let's have a chat. Sat down with him. I was like, wow, I have never heard so many stories about Calcutta from one person up until this point. This guy can be an incredible supporter of the movement, and I want to support whatever he's doing. Then he started off on the illumination project. I became one of the first, funders of the project, and also helped him get the first couple of lighting companies that ended up illuminating those projects. And since then, we have like a constant communication. Like every day we send each other voice notes, but this part of the city needs cleaning, this building needs funding for something. This, like, every day. Tomorrow our entire team is going into his office for a brainstorming session.
Wow.
Last week they got some funds together from the techno-electric company and redid the Newmarket clock tower for the first time. It's chiming.
I think I saw that video.
That's him.
Oh,
That's also him. So I'm saying nothing in life is truly constant, You got to have the nerve to, even if it's somebody, random, you got to have the nerve to just write to them if you think that this can be of use. That's what you did. I'm glad at that point of time, I had some headspace. I said, come and meet. But also I'm sure the first time since you texted me and the time that we actually met was probably 2 months or 3 months later.
Yeah, quite
A whole bunch of time passed in between that, because it's not going to happen perhaps on the spot. But when it does happen, if the energies match, then something good will come.
Yeah.
And I know now we are long-term partners on this. We're going to make this.
There's a lot of things.
A lot of things are going to happen. We're going to hopefully build stuff that is of value, and that is of value on both sides. I also truly believe that every mentorship project also that I do take on, I take it on very seriously. If somebody is giving me that importance that, hey, you know what, I want to get mentored by you. It's not something I want to do. I want to meet them once a year and give them some gyan and be like, okay, hoega cha, and then you can call me your mentor. Unless and until I can truly have a transformative experience in their life.
Yeah.
And that interaction can also have a transformative experience on my
Your
life.
life, yeah.
Because every minute of time spent has to have some kind of value, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Big believer in reverse mentoring as well. I think there's
Yeah.
so much to learn from
So much to learn.
from the young people.
Yeah.
Everyone on my team, I think, if in one little bit of the way I think of them as my mentees, I learned so much from them about the culture of the Gen Zs, about the way that, you know, you should stick it to the authorities because it's just not that important. You know,
Yeah.
just treat people like people. Stop thinking about them like their positions. So, you know, fascinating change of time that we're also passing through right now, and greatly, you know, hugely grateful that I get to live that.
Yeah, I do want to say something to you right now. I think this is a good time. You know how I see you. I'd like to tell you that.
Okay. Am I going to blush?
How I see you, and also what I have learned from a lot of people around you. So the image that comes to my mind is a prism. You know how there's a lot of white light, lot of beautiful white light around us, but sometimes it needs a surface to pass through in order to show its different vibrant lights, which is different vibrant colors. But sometimes it doesn't get that opportunity because not every surface is the right surface. I see you as a prism. You stand in between and you say, you know what, pass through me, let's see what you've got. And that is a different kind of opportunity that you give. You don't just give opportunity, you give your belief system onto them. And that's why so many people around, the ones who are here and the ones that I have heard talking about you, they all say the same thing. You are an enabler. An enabler is rare. Opportunity every person can give. Everyone who is in a position of privilege, they can provide. But to enable something in someone that they didn't know they had the colors, they had so many different vibrant colors in them. To enable that in someone, it takes a lot. You are a rare gem, and I hope that you don't change. And thank you so much for being you.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. I'm a little bit speechless. I think it's rare that these moments happen, considering how much I like talking. Also, to feel dumbfounded by that, but it's a lot of faith and a lot of trust that I get from that, from all those people around. I feel, and I'm blessed to be in a position where I can enable people, and hopefully through all the actions that we take. In a very long-term vision, because a lot of time people ask, and, you know, sometimes even snarkily comment on social media, "Hoye galo Kolkata relevant, kolli jato kichu hoye galo." Mane, it's almost like there is this need to find validation at every step. Like every day, I have to sort of stand in front of the mirror and prove my worth, or prove the importance of the action that I take, and we have a report card out and about every day saying, hey, you know what, today we did 7% change, and then in 320 days there will be 11% change. Change does not happen that way.
No.
Change happens through changing belief systems. Change happens through making sure that everybody else around you gets a chance to grow and feel part of something bigger than themselves. Somebody told me the other day there's an archetype that's called a town planner. And apparently I'm a town planner. That I think in a city-wide scale. Like I'm creating things which build ecosystems on not just towards one sector or industry. It creates ecosystems that supports an entire city. And that's the larger vision of what we are doing, right? And one of the outlet points is the podcast. And today when you told me about the prism idea, I think this is the first time that anybody's ever said this to me. So one, truly grateful that you feel that way. And hopefully through the actions in a very long-term perspective. I don't want to keep putting out a report card every now and then saying, hey, this is what I've done, and so this deserves eyeballs, respect, none of that. But hopefully through honest action and authentic work, not just from me, for the whole team that works on this, and all the supporters that we have for the movement, we'll be able to make Calcutta into a city that it wants to be
Yeah.
as well, that its people want
Deserves
it to be,
yeah.
that it deserves to be, because it's a place of a lot of love. It's a
Yeah.
place of a lot of care, and the older we get, the more we realize that love is perhaps the only currency that truly matters.
Yes.
Everything else is perfunctory.
Yeah.
It's going to move past. It's going to decay, but love does not decay. That's the energy.
So true. I mean, someone who's from here since so many years and someone who has just come here, just arrived just 2 months, I feel that same kind of love, you know. Even though the city has a lot that's going through right now, I do see that love and I want to cherish that love. And there are people like you who are trying to keep that alive, and you don't have to show a report card to people because it doesn't matter, because you are honest. What you are doing and what you are giving, that's what matters. And that we'll see 10 years down the line or 15 years down the line. Honest work matters, and you're doing that with all your honesty, and I can see that, and people who matter, they can see that. So yeah,
I think on that sort of emotional note, I did not see this podcast going this way, but on this note, ladies and gentlemen, this is your new host of the Make Calcutta Relevant Again podcast, the Durga Puja mini-series that's going to be coming up.
Yeah.
Sneha, she will do justice to this new role, and she will bring out stories of some incredible artists from the city and from beyond, or from all across Bengal, who are truly changing the landscape of what Durga Puja art is, and in the process of talking about that new change of plans in the next few months, at least, we got to know a little bit more about who Sneha is as a person, the things that drives her, a little bit about her vulnerabilities, a little bit of her origin story. And I think, Sneha, we're glad to have an honest artist like you in
Thank
Bengal.
you.
The rest of it is to be seen. You know, we are not going to make a qualitative judgment on your art. I don't think the art needs that as well. The fact that you're an honest artist who is not afraid to take a risk, not afraid to come on to a podcast where people talk about, people mostly talk in Bangla, and when you're not even that confident, but say, hey, you know what, doesn't matter if I get trolled a little bit, but I want to have an honest approach to doing a podcast in Bangla and, you know, challenge yourself. That's already doing a lot more, and I wish you a lot more flow states in life. I wish you a lot of days where you feel that Maa Durga passes through you, because that's, at the end of the day, the days that we remember and cherish through our lives.
so true.
And together with all of these beautiful people who work behind the scenes tirelessly at Make Calcutta Relevant Again, I hope, and with collaborators like Sneha, we truly hope that one day we shall truly make Calcutta relevant again. And it will not just be a one-day thing. It will be something that is cherished through time. And every day we will make Calcutta relevant again. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to a close for this episode. This is Meghdut signing off, and this is Sneha.
Sneha signing off. Yeah.
See you on the next episode in a little bit of time. I'm going to be back from paternity leave soon. Until then, you're in very safe hands.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a lovely podcast. I had so much fun talking to you today.
Amazing. See you, ladies and gentlemen, on the next episode of Make Calcutta Relevant Again, the podcast Durga Puja mini-series with Sneha Chakraborty.
See you.
Make Calcutta relevant again. You already know. Relevant again.